Welcome everyone tonight's show. Brace and buckle yourselves in for another topical open-ended discussion within the open panel and people taking part in the chat. This could be a wild show, more so if the trolls get by the security of all the mods in the chat.
In the shadows of the neon glow, where secrets thrive and whispers flow, they're signing deals with a devilish grin. Grim Reaper Networks, where it begins. Click clack, the site hits the floor, streaming souls like never before. Content dark, edgy and raw. Welcome to the network without a flaw. Dial it in, tune the fear. The Reaper's business is crystal clear. Vigilante.media got their back in the mission to protect everyone's rights. There's no turning back. Oh, Grim Reaper Network, where the midnight burns. Every contract signed, the soul returns. Vigilante.media, the partner in the war to protect rights. Breaking the rules, united in all our fights. Vigilante.media got the lens of steel, catching the truths they try to conceal. A partner in darkness, a bringer of light. They ride the edge of day and night. Cameras roll, the sight does swing. It's all business in the underworld ring. Justice sold, one deal at a time. Content kings of the shadow line. Frame it fast, cut it clean. Life and death on a silver screen. The Reaper and Vigilante.media, side by side, fighting for our rights on the darkest tide. Oh, Grim Reaper Network, where the midnight burns. Every contract signed, a soul returns. Vigilante.media, the partner in the war to protect rights. Breaking the rules, united in all our fights. Power plays, the authorities hate Vigilante.media and the grim. The size of pen, the ink runs thin. Partners in protecting rights. Titans of night, they rule the dark out of sight. Go! Tune in now, the show's begun. Grim and Vigilante.media, second to none. Streaming death, selling life. Partners forever in the edge of strife. Oh, Grim Reaper Network, where the midnight burns. Vigilante.media, there when the corner turns. Together they rise, together they reign. In the world of shadows, authority's stomachs churns.
And welcome to the show that should have gone on yesterday. However, we had to delay it slightly due to the fact that BBA had reached 100k. Congratulations to BBA on that. That's the reason why we didn't go live yesterday. We moved it today. Just want to say thank you to Mama Bear for hopping in. Unfortunately, I think your internet is still a little bit down because you dropped out. But hey, and talking of Bear's there, I can see him. Hop over to the place I was talking to you earlier, and you'll find the link in there, BBA. how is everybody? And if you liked the video intros, please hit that like button. If you don't, then you don't have to. You can always hit the dislike button. Personally, I don't mind either way. But thank you so much. See, even I am live, as they say. Right. What's on the show today? Well, I've got a couple of videos to talk about and to show. But before we do that, let me introduce the one and only Mellows. He's muted and he's not long woken up, so let's not, expect too much of him. In fact, as he's so muted up, I'm sticking him backstage until he unmutes himself. Oh, the power! I'll go. Normally, I don't do things like that, honestly. Oh, he's hit the mute button. Hello, Mellows.
Hi, mate. Sorry, I had the other video playing and it was going to echo, so I've muted up.
Ah, right. Did you like the intro?
I think it was good.
Yeah, two different intros there for people. New song. I'm glad to be sponsored by Vigilante.media these days. When I find them, I'll say thank you.
And send them the bill.
I'll send them the bill, yeah. Hey, Big G, how you doing? Mama Bear, the link is in the last place you were in.
There should be a link in the Jitsi chat.
In the Jitsi chat. That's the one. Thank you. See, told you, my memory's terrible. I've got a couple of videos to show. First one I'll show, it's about a tragic unlife event, shall we say, unliving event, yes, which happened in Los Angeles on the 12th of November. I've got a video on that, which I'm going to show, and I'm going to also discuss with you as well, Mellows, because I think you'll have a few things on that to say. I'm not sure whether you're aware of the event or you've seen any of the footage. And I've also got a few videos around the unwritten Constitution of Great Britain. And it took me a long time to get my head around the fact. Sorry?
It's written, it's just not codified.
No, it's not written. It's unwritten. We don't actually have a piece of paper which says this is the Constitution. What we have is something similar. However, by the time you've watched it all, you'll understand where other people's or other countries' written constitution comes from. Yes. And you'll be surprised. But first of all, Mellows, while you wake up slightly, as they say, I'm going to play this video if I can find it.
See if I can get my link.
Yeah, all right, cheers. So it's only about 6 minutes long in total. Actually, I'll wait until Mama Bear comes up. Do you know what? Let's see. Let's make it a little bit easier for people. Big G's in the house. This is a serious conversation we're going to have, Big G. So if you are going to come up, please don't take the piss too much. I'll have to drop you backstage, and no one can bring you back up because I'm not using their StreamYards. Big shout out to a very good friend of mine, of course, Wandering Hippie. I'm using his StreamYards. Anyway, so this is the video, the first video I want to show you, folks. If you think that the police in this video were right in any way, shape or form, I'd love to hear your opinion.
A 43-year-old man was fatally shot by police in Las Vegas after he called 911 for help while fighting off an intruder in his home. The family of Brandon Durham, including his 15-year-old daughter who was hiding in a nearby room, have asked for the officer to be fired. Mr. Durham's teenage daughter said she was disgusted with Las Vegas police as they treated him like the suspect, not the victim. A lawyer for Alexander Bookman, the officer who shot Mr. Durham, said he committed no crimes. The Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department said Mr. Bookman, 26, had been placed on paid administrative leave while they conduct an internal review of the November 12 incident. Mr. Durham had called 911 to report that two people were shooting outside and were trying to break into his home, police said. Officers responding to the report found cars with broken windows outside. They also noticed damage to the house and heard shouting from inside, police said, prompting Mr. Bookman to kick down the front door to enter. Body camera footage released by the police shows Mr. Bookman walking through the home with his gun drawn, while screaming and banging can be heard out of view. Video shows Illinois police fatally shoot woman in her home. Turning the corner of an L-shaped hallway, the officer finds a shirtless Mr. Durham wrestling over a knife with a woman wearing a ski mask, later identified as 31-year-old Alejandra Boudreau. Mr. Bookman yells, "Hey, drop the knife, drop the knife," seconds before firing a shot that hit Mr. Durham and sent him and Ms. Boudreau to the ground. Mr. Bookman then fires 5 more shots at Mr. Durham and says, "Put your hands up," body-worn camera footage released by police showed. Mr. Durham was pronounced dead at the scene. Ms. Boudreau was arrested and charged with 4 counts, including home invasion with a deadly weapon. "I am disgusted in how the Metropolitan Police told my father, after killing him, to stay down," Mr. Durham's daughter told local news. "I'm disgusted that the Metropolitan Police will allow me to live fatherless for the rest of my life." The family's lawyer has asked for an immediate arrest warrant for Mr. Bookman. Unlike a civil case, in which an individual's negligence is at issue, criminal cases require proof of a person's criminal intent. David Roger, general counsel for the Las Vegas Police Protective Association, said in a statement to CNN. While Mr. Durham's death is tragic, Officer Bookman was doing his job and did not intend to commit a crime. Citing a police report, local news outlets said Mr. Durham and Ms. Boudreau were previously in a romantic relationship. Assistant Sheriff Dory Corrin said police did not find a gun on the scene, despite multiple reports of shots fired. The incident brought police shootings back into the spotlight, occurring just days before the Justice Department opened an investigation into the death of Sonia Massey, who was fatally shot in July by an officer inside her home in Illinois.
Brandon Durham's family is still trying to make sense of how this happened, and while they do that, they're hoping the responding police officer will be arrested for shooting him too.
I've never been so upset, so sad, so frustrated in my life. I feel everything, all at the same time.
In an emotional interview, Brandon Durham's domestic partner sharing a glimpse of what the past week has been like since the 43-year-old was shot and killed by a Metro police officer.
20 to 35, 10 medium build.
It was just after midnight on November 12th when Durham called 911 to report somebody had broken into his home. Moments later, Metro officer Alexander Bookman entered the house to find Durham struggling with an intruder. That intruder would be later identified as 31-year-old Alejandra Boudreau.
Hey, drop the knife!
But not even 2 seconds after giving that command, the altercation came to an abrupt ending when Bookman shot Durham in the head and then continued to shoot 5 more times after he had already fallen to the ground.
The entire time he's unarmed, and he's never represents a threat to the officer, and certainly was not a threat to the person who was intruding into his home.
Before he was shot, he's saying, "Help me." Just like that. It's the worst thing. It's the worst part of this, besides the gunshot to his actual head.
In a press conference last week, Metro shared that Boudreau and Durham knew each other, and now police documents obtained by Channel 13 paint a clearer picture of their relationship.
We do believe there's some kind of domestic relationship of some sort, and then ultimately this was not a random act of violence.
According to the arrest report, Boudreau disclosed to detectives that she and Durham had an ongoing casual sexual relationship. When the two decided to end things, she was allegedly scheduled to head back home on a flight, but instead ended up at Durham's house, where she stated she, quote, wanted him to live with the wreckage that I caused in his house. Boudreau told investigators that she had been feeling suicidal for several days and expressed a desire to be shot by police. But in a tragic turn, Durham was the one who lost his life, and now his family is calling for justice and the arrest of the officer responsible.
To know that an arrest warrant hasn't been issued for a man who was on video that the evidence is available to the public. There's more than enough probable cause so that Alexander Bookman could be indicted on the crime of homicide.
I've said it before and I'll say it again. He should be in jail for murder. He took a good guy. He took a really good guy.
And we've been told this investigation could take weeks or even months. In the meantime, Alexander Bookman is on routine paid administrative leave. Brandon Durham's family is hoping he's arrested.
There you have it, folks.
Do you have the body cam video, the full one? I'd like to see that.
Yes, but due to the way that that's the reason why I chose the news report.
Yeah,
but the original one, which is obviously hidden, that's where I got the original information from. Yeah, I was absolutely. I was dumbfounded. I couldn't believe that the police department that the idiot works for turned around and said that he was acting in the course of his duties and didn't do anything wrong, and B, try to move the blame and the circumstances due to the fact that they had a relationship. So he's in a relationship, but he's having another relationship with somebody else, with his previous, right, on and off. And that was the reason why she invaded. That doesn't explain why the copper shot him, then gave another 5 shots, and then turned around and said, "Stay on the floor."
They can't admit liability. If they just blatantly admit liability, right, without fighting back, they have to pay out millions of pounds in compensation, right, and put this guy in jail and all this shit. And then
but the thing is, but
if they fight it, if they say, "Oh, it's not our fault," and we fight it legally in argument in court, they can litigate or minimize damage.
Yes, but currently there is no civil suit. They're looking for criminal.
Yeah, they're getting a handle on things. They're getting ahead of the game.
But the thing is the guy was shot. He was unarmed. There was reports that shots had been fired. I can see to a certain extent the reason why the officer went in hot, as they say. However, there is no justification, in my opinion, for shooting someone who's totally unarmed, that's got their hands up, and is obviously of no threat whatsoever, and some way away from where the police officer was. That is, if it tell you what, it's legalized murder.
It is. That's exactly what it is. They do this a lot. I mean, this is just one story that got the news, right? But this happens a lot, not just in your country over there in the US, but in our country over here. And the police will always side with their guy, even when the guy has done something really drastically wrong, in order for them to minimize and litigate the damages, right? They have to, because if they don't, it might cost them their job, it might cost them millions of pounds in compensations and embarrassment. It might, it's just, they have to fight it. Do you know what I mean? This is why.
I know. But
and because they get the best legal defenses and they get all the money in the world to spend on legal defenses, they can get away with it, right? And because they've been getting away with it for so long, right, and there is no accountability, right, this is why we're in this space now where, it's just normal for them to do whatever they do and get away with it.
I don't disagree with anything that you're saying, but I'm not just outraged, I'm really angry.
Yeah.
Right? And it's not just for the fact that this could literally happen to anybody. And from a traffic stop to someone in an airport, right? That's on both sides of the Atlantic because coppers walk
You're not
around.
even safe in your own home anymore, Grim.
Oh, I know, no, but that's what what's coming to, right? If we don't show, if we are not accountable to ourselves, right, and to our supporters, how can we then turn around and say they need to be accountable? So we need to be accountable, which is what vigilante.media is all about. But we also need to demonstrate that in everything that we do, right? We need to be together and be accountable to each other so we can actually turn around and say, hey, there's no shit on us. We're the ones who are fighting for transparency. And that guy, if it had been an ordinary Joe Soap in the property, home invasion, if they would have been arrested straight away without any qualms. But because this guy has a badge on him and he's employed by Los Angeles PD, no. He's put out to on administration leave. What the hell? Chat, what are your theories? What's your thoughts on it? Come on. You're part and parcel of the whole of this, even the people who are just sat there watching. Please give us your views.
What kind of message does that send out to people, especially those sort of people who like, there are certain people that gravitate towards certain positions of power, right?
Mm.
A narcissist will gravitate to a position of power in order for him to, have that, that addiction, that kick that he needs, that control, that power over others, and abuse that power, because he can get away with it. I mean, gradually, what's going to happen is there's certain types of people are going to gravitate to these jobs over a period of time, and then all of a sudden, we are living in a fucking, militarized dictatorship, right?
Agreed. I mean, this is the downside. This is the problem. I mean, we have people who are currently elected and put into power, right, who seem to think that because they have so-called power, they can do what the hell they like, right? And we've also got police who know they can do what the hell they like. Hello, Mama Bear. Good to see you.
Hey,
Hello. Finally got it working.
Good. While your internet is still working, did you get a chance to see the video?
Yes, I did.
And your views, are they similar to ours, or do you want to take the opposite side for a change?
No, I don't want to take the opposite side.
Play devil's advocate.
But like I said earlier, Grim, they have to defend that whatever it is that the officers do, right, in order for them to minimize the damages caused by that guy. Do you know what I mean? They have to be seen to, come up with the excuse and, why he had to do what he'd done and all this stuff. So in order for them to, escape from either losing their jobs or paying out millions of pounds in compensation,
Yeah.
Maha, you're right. Unfortunately, it's the gravity of the way that they put things together keeps them in power. We need to change gravity, because gravity is only an illusion, allegedly.
Mm-hmm.
There's no illusion about falling, man. There's nothing. It's very real.
I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, I know that's a shocker, and it's not something I would normally start any sort of show off with, because it is a serious topic and a serious situation. But it highlights to me just how bad things are. And I think we should never lose track of that. And we need to realize and to understand that change is not going to happen overnight.
No.
And we have to keep picking away at it, and it links into what I said earlier, which is about having having ourselves transparent and being transparent. I was listening to somebody's channel early this morning, and they were talking. They showed a video of what people did in the past, and you think that trolls on YouTube are bad enough, right? Something that a 19-year-old did, and they're 40 odd years old now. So it's happened over 20 years ago. They've had a clean record since then. And they dig it up and throw it at people, right? I was watching this council meeting where they were doing exactly the same thing, because the criminal record had been expunged, but they still brought it up, you know, and they say you should be transparent about it. But hang on, we have a thing called time spent. They have a thing over in the States as the expunged. In other words, time spent is exactly the same thing. If someone has really screwed up in the past and they committed petty theft, for argument's sake, or they've had an argument with someone because they were a little bit pissed, you know, and they got charged for being drunk and disorderly and battery or whatever, you with me. If they've done nothing wrong since and they served their time, right, why should that affect who? Why should that be called out now when they've obviously changed?
Yeah.
If you understand where I'm coming from. What's your opinion, Bear?
Because when they want to hurt you, or when people want to hurt others, they will use everything they can at their disposal.
I agree, and that's what I'm saying about being transparent.
Yeah, it's because they want to hurt you.
You should stop being so hard on the police. I think you should stop being mean.
Right. Sorry, Bear, could you bring yourself up? Shouldn't laugh. There's only one tyrant, and that's me.
Stop being so hard on police. Come on.
Oh, I'm being soft.
Do you realise how safe you are? Do you realise how safe you are without the police?
Without the police, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I don't like it here because we can't. I want to go back to the other one where we can start hiding people. I want to hide Grim when he says stop being hard on police, be easy on police. I want to hide
it. I would never ever be hard on any police in any way, shape, or form, unless they deserve it.
That sounds wrong, man. That sounds wrong in so many ways.
Yes, because of the way your brain works. Okay, we've got Mile, we've got Sean, we've got Northwoods, and on the panel we have two intelligent people. I just want to introduce them formally: Mellows and Mama Bear, and an idiot who is a bootlicker. Or he's playing that role today, Bear Britain. How the hell did you get 100,000 subs?
Because I love the police.
I'm going to start calling you Alexander.
Goes hard on the police, Grim.
Yes. Oh, yes. No, he's a soft cock, really.
And we all congratulations to BBA for getting his 100K, and they better send him his plaque or I'm going to start protesting. I'm going to New York City and I'm going to protest him. I'll go to New York City and protest him.
But BBA's not in New York, so why would you protest against him?
But there is an office for YouTube in New York.
Oh, sorry, I thought you were talking about protesting against Bear having 100,000.
No, I'm going to New York City to protest him because they didn't send him his plaque.
Whoa, fucking whoa. Whoa, fucking whoa.
And Susan, we didn't miss you. Susan, I said hello to you. I didn't miss you.
Susan, I'm sorry. You were so small in the chat. I did miss you. I do apologize.
I didn't. I said hi to her when she popped in.
Yes, I know, but isn't that the same as me
Hi,
saying
Susan.
hi? Susan,
I'd never
you don't have a lost soul. I know exactly where it is, and I've locked it up in a very, 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 very small case. There you go. Do you feel better now? Northwoods, woo fucking woo.
Hey, Northwood.
love you, Susan.
Git. You forgot something old. Oh, well, at least somebody loves you, Mama Bear. BBA, I did try to do something special for you,
Love you,
but
Susan.
regrettably, I just didn't have enough time in the day. So, apologies. I was going to do you a scroll of honor, but then I realised it's subs that you've got.
Susan, I'll do it for you. Fuck you about
God, I do wish people would remember who's in charge these days.
Susan, keep doing it, but I'll give you a double one.
Oh, yeah, stay on. Oh, hang on a second. Before we go any further and move on to our next subject, here's a little ditty for Wandering Hippie.
Through the streets with a camera in hand, standing tall for the law of the land. In the chaos they find the calm, guarding the freedoms that make us strong. With a lens on truth they roam the scene, filming the places where the lines aren't clean. No badge, no title, just a voice of care. For the Constitution, they'll always be there. Oh, wandering hippie auditor, standing up for what we're fighting for. Filming light in the darkest turns, keeping the fire of freedom that burns. Rights for the people, truth to discern. Every step forward, a lesson to learn. Oh, hippie auditor, your work's not done. The battle for justice has just begun. Oh, they face the questions, they take the stairs, challenging power, stripping its airs. This is my right, this is your right too. The First Amendment's here for me and you. Public spaces, they hold their ground, where freedom's echoes must resound. The camera rolls, the silence breaks, for every heart the stand they take. Oh, wandering hippie auditor, standing up for what we're fighting for. Filming light in the darkest turns, keeping the fire of freedom that burns. Rights for the people, truth to discern. Every step forward, a lesson to learn. Oh, hippie auditor, your work's not done. The battle for justice has just begun. They're not a hero, just doing their part. Driven by conscience, led by their heart. In every frame, a story unfolds of liberty spirit, both brave and bold. So when you see the hippie pass by, with fire in their soul and truth in their eye, remember the fight they choose to claim, for the Constitution, for freedom's name. Oh, wandering hippie auditor, you're the voice we've been waiting for. The battle's long, the road's unsure, but freedom's future rests with you, pure.
good one.
Oh, you like that? If you didn't, tough. So, it's snowing where Northwoods is, and Mama Bear's saying that she was blessed with 10 inches. Lucky Mama Bear. Oh,
Yeah,
snow. Sorry, I didn't see the other bit. Honest, I just saw the 10 inches.
No, snow. Get your mind out of the gutter.
You wish. If that's what you're about to say, I wish. Anyway, enough of the smut. Just Muxter, how you doing? Long time no see.
Oh, hi, Mustard.
And his niece lives up near you.
Yes, we had lots of snow. It was heavy, so power lines came down, other lines came down, so they had no school. Everybody was blessed with a snow day yesterday.
Well, kids will have any excuse, won't need to be off.
Yeah. Parents were bitching because the kids had snow day, but they didn't understand when there's no power in schools. They can't have schools.
Well, the video that I just shown isn't just really for hippie, it's for all audiences over in the States, because they've got something written in stone that they can shove down the authorities' throats. And that, of course, is just give me a second. I've got an idiot who's trying to get hold of me. Right, he's gone. Why ring me when they know I'm online? Thanks, son. I know it was your birthday yesterday. Belated birthday, which is, again, you phoned me to say, you're not phoned me, idiot.
What?
Hang on. It's persistent, isn't it? Give me a minute. Talk amongst yourselves for a second while I just give him a bollocking.
There was lots and lots of power lines down. So they had power lines, phone lines down, internet down. My internet got taken down. So I have sketchy internet right now until they come back and finish fixing it. But yes, trees still are coming down because we did, as Muxter knows, we've had lots of storms here. We have had lots of tornadoes that have come through New York. There's 30 some tornadoes that have come through New York this year. So there's a lot of trees that are still coming down throughout central New York and all of actually New York State. So they are still falling with the heavy snow. So it's been interesting. I think it's going to be an interesting winter. I think it's really going to be an interesting winter. Some places in my area were out of power over 15 hours yesterday before they got power back on due to the snow. So it's going to be an interesting winter, I think. Very interesting winter with all the storms we had this summer. So, and I feel sorry for the people in North Carolina that got the snow, in Tennessee that got the snow, because a lot of these people are still living in tents. So I feel sorry for them. So I know Mallow said it's been cold. I know BBA got snow too. So they're getting snow over there in the UK.
Still no snow here yet. It's cold enough
You
to
had
snow. Yeah. Hasn't dropped yet.
I know BBA got snow the other day because he showed it to us.
He's a lot higher up as well, though, and then I suppose the coastline, it just makes anything difficult. It makes it difficult for the snow. I don't know. It's because I'm on the coast here. I think it's slightly different.
You got the water temperature that makes a difference.
Humidity, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know how warm the water is of the ocean. Well, sea.
Don't know. I mean, we always get different weather to the rest of the country. I mean, sometimes it skips. But the bear is a lot higher up than I am. So he's where he is much more elevated.
Ours is too, because the ground's not frozen yet. Up on top of the hill, there's a little bit, but down in the valley, it's mostly gone.
Yeah, that's what I mean, because he's up on the hill.
Yeah.
That's why he got it.
A little bit in the woods where I could see in the woods is still there.
Apparently it's still coming, though. It's not giving up. It's still going to come.
Yeah, we got a few more months of winter. The ski areas are ramping up their snow making. They're getting ready to get their snow making go. So Finkel is not out of the snowballs yet. So you can inform Finkel the snowballs are still available.
Yeah. What it says, it's just rain, rain, rain. That's all. That's all we're going to get today is rain, which will turn into sleet, and then maybe next week we'll get some snow.
Yeah.
That's from the Met Office. And they're always late with their predictions as well.
Yeah, snow the south of in the south of England is a rare treat.
You hear me?
There we can.
For some reason, I keep going to write Muckster in Grimm's chat, and it don't let me. Like, is it a blocked word or something?
Muckster?
Yeah, and I know, because I put Muck, I put Muckster, I put a few things with Muckster in, and the sentence won't come up in the chat. Then I type yo, and that lets me type.
Yeah. Type in Muckster.
I typed in Muckster.
And it worked.
Yeah, I just typed in Muckster and it worked.
How weird's that?
Very glitchy.
No idea.
Yeah, that's really strange. Oh, big up Muckster anyway, that's what I was going to say.
You've seen Muckster for a while.
Has he been dragged back into the dark side?
I don't think so.
No.
Sorry about that. Sometimes you have no choice but to take an urgent phone call, regardless of what you're doing. Archer, Stu, how are you doing? Moxter, it's good to see you in here. Really is. What have I missed?
He's not in the dark side.
Moxter's not in the dark side. I haven't seen any notifications. So I don't know whether he's been online or what. But good to see you.
On Finkel's side, he's been in Finkel's chat.
Finkel, didn't I see him last time we went live? Didn't he pop in the chat?
I don't remember.
I remember seeing his name somewhere. Last couple of lives, maybe.
Finkel's been doing some bits on his channel, you know.
Mm.
It's been out like filming and everything.
Yeah. He's always done that, man. He's done auditing. He's done.
I didn't know that. Done some of his recent stuff though. I've been watching.
Yeah. He's been doing it for. Finkel's been doing it for a while, man.
Oh dear, that cough's looking bad. Worse when you sneeze at the same time, isn't it?
Oh, no.
Hello, Dino.
Dino, long time no see. Everyone's coming in.
What do you know?
People I'm not seeing for a long, long time. Okay, I've got a question for you. What don't you know? Yeah, what don't you know about the so-called British Constitution?
I don't know much about it.
Okay, that's fine. This is an education. Sorry?
That's by design.
By design. Yeah, you'll understand that more, folks, as we go through this, because that is something that is plainly clear.
Can I just
yeah, go on.
Constitution. The reason why we have a constitution is so that it limits the scope of authority that the government has over us, right? Which is why it's in their interest to keep it so obscure and so, hidden from us. They don't want us to know what the Constitution is.
Exactly. I agree. BBA, as an auditor, right, do you think we should have something more concrete, as in a Bill of Rights, for argument's sake, which the Americans have? Do you think that would be something which would be beneficial for all?
We have a Bill of Rights.
We do have.
We have a Bill of Rights.
We
have a Bill of Rights. Yes, we do.
We don't. No, we don't.
Yes, we do.
As you will see, we don't.
You'll see that we do. We have a Bill of Rights, bro.
Okay, the Bill of Rights is something which has been adopted from Europe, right? And it's called the human rights, right? That's what it's linked in with. It's something which has been adopted. We don't actually have a Bill of Rights. There is nothing in law because the government won't let us have it. Because that means that they have to give over power that they don't want us to have. They want to control the power, as Mellows is explaining or has stated. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the first part.
Has a multiple Bill of Rights. So you've got the Bill of Rights 1689.
Right.
And then you've got the Bill of Rights 2022.
Right, okay.
That was the proposed. That was the proposed one. It didn't go through.
Yes. Thank you. Right. Can I show this video? Right. And first of all, I want to show I'm going to go through the history, because the history is important. And there's two parts to the history. Okay. And it explains how we ended up the way that we are, or into the area that we are in now. Okay. So if you don't mind, we'll
Contrary to popular belief, Great Britain does have a constitution. It just doesn't exist as a single document like most other countries. Rather, the constitution is a collection of official laws, royal decrees, treaties, legal cases, and statutes, all loosely tied together like a children's cardboard sculpture, governs Great Britain's million people and influence laws that affect billions more. I obviously can't cover them all in depth, however, we'll discuss what are the top 8 most important documents governing Britain today. If you live in the United States or a former British Empire country, you too will probably have at least one or two of these documents copied into your own constitutions or local laws. Let's start with the oldest and most influential of these documents. King John I was one of the worst kings in English history. The English nobility hated him because he taxed them to pay for things like castles and their private armies. The Pope hated him because he would reject bishops appointed by the Vatican and appoint his loyal supporters. The French hated him because he would constantly declare war on them, and the ordinary people hated him because his hobbies included imprisoning and torturing people for fun. Eventually the English nobles had enough and laid siege to King John's castle, forcing him to sign a document putting limits on his power as monarch so he would stop being such a massive idiot. This charter is still in force. Most of the causes concern medieval taxes and feudal disputes, which have been repealed over the centuries. But 3 of the original 63 clauses remain. That's probably for the better, though. Some of these clauses are anti-Semitic. Clause 1 guarantees independence for the Church of England to stop the monarch stacking it with political priests. Clause 9 guarantees legal independence to the City of London, which is still respected today. But there's also Clause 39, and this is the main one. No freeman shall be seized, imprisoned, stripped of his rights, possessions, outlawed or exiled, or deprived of his standing in any other way. Nor will we proceed with force him or send others to do so, except by the lawful judgment of his equals, or by the law of the land. Jury trials for the 13th century. This was revolutionary, a right to a fair trial in the age of locking up blasphemers and burning them at the stake. So revolutionary, in fact, that when the American revolutionaries, after their revolting revolution, set up their record of revolvers and unrestricted writing, copied many of the Charter's provisions into their own right, particularly the bits about guaranteeing trial by jury and the ability to petition the king. The Magna Carta is not really a proto-constitution, despite some people saying so. It's a peace treaty between the monarch and free men, aka lords and gentry. But because the government now represents the crown and the notion of free men has been extended to all living people, Parliament is bound by the treaty as if it was law the only. Magna Carta has never applied anywhere in the British Empire was Scotland. Yes, the Magna Carta has never applied north of the border because England was an independent country from Scotland at this time, but they aren't missing much because London is in England and Scotland is Presbyterian, not Anglican. Further still, a 1603 legal case says that Scots in England have all the rights guaranteed under there anyway, even though it doesn't apply the right to a fair trial. This cornerstone of freedom was the only right that English, Welsh and Irish people had for centuries and until the 1680s when this list of liberties was about to get a whole lot bigger. Fast forwarding 4.5 centuries now to what is known as the Glorious Revolution. As with many of the world's problems, this started with religion. At this time this gentleman was of both King of England James II and Scotland's James VII. But England was a Catholic, until King Henry VIII split the church and his marriages and his wives. One of his first priorities King James did, after King Henry VIII split the church and his marriages so he could divorce his wives, rather than chopping off their heads, by introducing the Protestant Church of England, was to flip these countries Catholic again, introducing a law to Parliament supporting greater freedoms for Catholic religious leaders. The Protestant, English and Scottish parliaments said no way. King James did the next logical step and disbanded Parliament, ruled by decree and did whatever he wanted, raising taxes, confiscating land, having his own personal military and forcing Catholic worship churches. The nobility was of course not happy. Only a few decades before the Civil War had determined Parliament was superior to the Crown. King James was trampling all over that. Fortunately, he had a lovely Protestant daughter who was married to the wealthy, also Protestant King of the Netherlands, William of Orange. The nobility just looked the other way while Mary and her husband invaded to depose of James II. James quickly fled to France, which is universally considered a sign of abdication. Parliament wrote out the Bill of Rights to ensure that could never again by rule of decree and would always have to consult Parliament first. It also guaranteed people liberties and freedoms so they couldn't be abused by any future despotic monarch. Some of the rights included in this document that are still in force today include there cannot be an army during peacetime. Every 5 years Parliament has to pass an act to get around this. All citizens have the right to lobby the government to make changes. Members of Parliament, while in the House of Commons, have absolute freedom of speech but not a free man. Nobody can be subject to excessive bail or cruel punishments. Every man must be convicted by a fairly selected jury before he can be punished. Parliament must meet often and be elected through free elections. These and many others included, formed the next great batch of rights bestowed upon the people of England, Wales, and Ireland, but not Scotland. In other words, permissions were granted by Parliament. James VII had fled England and as James II according to Scottish law. He was still the King of Scotland, who had abdicated the English throne and was now visiting France. Fortunately, the Scottish Parliament had an answer to that too. Passed their own Bill of Rights called the Claim of Rights, which simply boot 3D James off the throne in favour of William and Mary. It includes all the other stuff from the English version, while also putting limits on the use of torture and banning the government from keeping soldiers in someone's house without their consent. These laws are still valid in England and Scotland and many other former Empire countries today, with much of the Catholic clauses having been removed or reworded. The United States Constitution clearly draws heavily from some of the provisions in noticeable ways.
So, now you understand where the Bill of Rights came from. It actually had nothing to do with the people. And also where a few of the other constitutions came from as well. The written ones. But we still don't have a constitution. Anybody awake out there? No bears. Oh, Bellows has taken the dog out. Bear, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
So, does that sort of answer a few of your statements, shall we say? Was it, contradict them?
I think it contradicts them, but yeah.
But that's fact. That's what I was getting at. We don't have a Bill of Rights as such. The Bill of Rights that you're referring to may come a little bit later, but it's not actually a Bill of Rights. But the Bill of Rights was really around protecting the country from a mad monarch, basically. And that they can't take leadership away from Parliament. And Parliament decreed that you can't, that they, no one can be forced to house the military. The right of fair trial, which came into effect in the 13th century, some 400 years before Independence Day for America. Yes, I think that a lot of the stuff there, which I found, is well and truly hidden. And that's the problem. People don't realize or don't see what's happened in the past. So I know Mellows isn't around, but I've got to move on. I can't stay on one list. As well as got any questions? Okay. So if no one's got any questions, we'll go to number 2.
Contrary to popular belief, Great Britain does have a constitution.
Sorry about the repeat, I picked the wrong button. Oh, I know why. I've done it again.
As a single document.
Done it again. Done it again. I'm so crap at this. That's better.
It also guaranteed people liberties and freedoms so they couldn't be abused by any future despotic monarch. Some of the rights included in this document that are still in force today include there cannot be an army during peacetime.
And that was a repeat. What's going on? It's your fault, Bear. I did it. I know what I did. I altered it all. Sorry about this.
Rivals, the Conservative Party. After the 1906 election, the Liberal Party, formerly known as the Liberal Whig Party, were elected on a huge landslide victory over their main rivals, the Conservative Party. They had a transformative manifesto promising the foundations of Britain's modern welfare state, national insurance, unemployment benefits, sickness pay, free healthcare for children, school meals, old age pensions, workplace injury. And the whole thing will be paid for by the wealthy aristocracy. This was known as the People's Budget. But of course, the wealthy aristocracy were not happy with having to pay for all of that free stuff for the people who had nothing to do with their class. Lucky for them, they had a trick up their sleeve. While the Liberals held the House of Commons, it was the Conservatives who held the majority in the House of Lords. Remember those guys unelected so-called gentry? Yeah, the Tories from earlier are called the Conservatives now. The Liberal Party were proposing this budget in the Commons, which meant it had to pass through the Conservatives in the Lords. So, every time the People's Budget passed the Commons, the Lords would simply reject it. So, the Liberals drew up another law, the Parliament Act. This act would put limits on how often the House of Lords could reject legislation, a maximum of 3 times, and then the Commons can bypass them, going straight to the head of state for approval. Predictably, the Lords said no. This set off a crisis in government. Who should hold the power, the people who own the country or the people who live in it? To prove that they had popular backing, the Liberals called not 1 but 2 elections in 1910, which they narrowly won both, but the Lords refused to budge. Eventually King George V had to step in. If you do not pass this law, I will appoint tons of new Liberal Lords who will overpower you and never allow you to veto any laws ever again. This was the first time that a monarch had played an active role in politics in over 200 years. This was enough to scare the Lords into submission, and they approved both Parliament Act and the People's Budget. From now on, the elected Commons, the House to represent the ordinary people, are more powerful than the unelected Lords. Today, the Lords cannot veto any proposed laws more than 3 times, and can't oppose anything that the government proposed in the last election. Most of their work today focuses on scrutinizing the work of the government and recommending improvements to the law, which of course the Commons are free to ignore. The House of Lords is a place of rest and allow Lords nowadays to fall asleep on TV. But it's incredibly boring, which is why you hardly ever see footage of the Lords' chamber in the news. There is one exception. They can reject any proposed law that delays or cancels an upcoming election to the Commons. That way, if a fascist political party ever gets in power and tries to ban democracy, it is ironically the undemocratic House of Lords who can stop them in their tracks. Speaking of elections, at the time of this whole Parliament kerfuffle, only men who owned property were allowed to vote. This meant generally only the upper and middle class could vote. Wouldn't it be nice if others were allowed to vote too? One common argument against women being allowed to vote was that their vote could only ever double or negate her husband's vote, so it was either giving a man a second vote or making it worthless. Another argument was that women would eventually demand multiple votes in case they wanted to change their mind on polling day because they couldn't make up their mind.
Which is totally wrong, understandable why they thought that would happen. Knowing politics was a male thing and women were seen as having multiple minds and couldn't agree with one single mind. However, the main argument was simple enough. There is the public sphere and the private sphere. If you cross the two, the whole of society will collapse. At the time there were two main groups campaigning for women's suffrage in the UK. The suffragists was the name given to members of the National Union of Women's Suffrage Societies, led by Militant Fawcett. These were just regular campaigners for women's suffrage and were the larger group. Membership was open to women and men, and their activities mostly revolved around petitions and lobbying and peaceful marches and so on. But the suffragettes, which you're probably more aware of, was a derogatory term for members of the Women's Social and Political Union. The two groups were quite different. The Women's Social and Political Union was for women only, and led by Emmeline Pankhurst and her 3 daughters, who were all pretty much complete lunatics. Instead of lame marches and boring posters, the suffragettes were a bit more hands-on than their suffragist counterparts. They did things like setting fire to post boxes, smashing up shop windows, throwing rocks at politicians, vandalizing priceless paintings with knives, defacing currency, chaining themselves to the gates of Parliament, and many more things. At one point they even blew up the House of Chancellor, David Lloyd George, even though he supported women's suffrage. So, I don't know what the logical thinking was there. A woman even threw herself under a horse and died. They were inevitably arrested for their militant tactics. Many of the suffragettes went on hunger strike in protest. That wasn't going to last long because scores of dead women in prison could make the government look bad. Many prison governors instituted a policy of force feeding by tying down the prisoner and inserting a tube into their nose and down their throat, then cracking an egg down that tube so they wouldn't starve. No plate, knife and fork required. Yet wouldn't you believe this could even worse public relationship for the government? So, to resolve this issue the government devised the so-called Cat and Mouse Act. A new law where a hunger striker being got you released from prison, and then when you get home and have a meal, the police will come to your house, rearrest you and then take you back to prison to serve the rest of your sentence. And if you went on hunger strike again, they'd just keep doing it again and again and again and again. In the first 8 weeks of what was to become World War I, the war to end all wars, 750,000 men had signed up to join the army and were promptly shipped out to France, leaving a massive hole in the workforce. To prove themselves just as capable as men, the suffragettes suspended all violent activity to focus on the Scottish island of St Kilda, who, on the day after the act was passed, participated in the daily meetings held by the village elders for the first time. Ah, that's cute and nice of them to allow the village elders to carry on their work without being patronized. You no doubt will have noticed, many of the rights guaranteed by these previous documents of law are quite patchy and come with many asterisks. Freedom of expression, for members of Parliament, the right to own a gun for Protestants, votes for women over 30. But this next document will try and fix all of that as the most comprehensive list on the Scottish island of St Kilda, who, on the day after the act was passed, participated in the daily meetings held by the village elders for the first time winning the war. The Pankhursts might have been lunatics, but they were patriotic lunatics. They took up factory work while the men were away fighting on the front lines, which completely shattered the argument that the two societal spheres should stay separate. But despite this, the suffragettes didn't give up their rebellious streak. The Women's Social and Political Union attempted to drive up recruitment to the army by harassing non-uniformed men in the street and handing out white feathers, a symbol for cowardice. At the end of the war, the men in government realized that women were indeed just as capable as men, and granted all women the right to vote, provided they were over the age of 30. It was lowered to 21, the same as men, in 1928. The first group of women who exercised this new right to vote was actually on the time of liberties. Before 1998, UK citizens who thought their rights were being trampled on had to go to the European Court of Human Rights if they wanted to challenge the government. Before the UK signed the European Convention in 1950, If a right wasn't on the rule books, it wasn't safe from abuse. After their landslide victory in 1997, the Labour Party introduced the Human Rights Act, finally putting into law all the rights and liberties of the common man. The government gave the common man permission to have rights. Anyone who thinks their freedom is being stamped on can use this document in court for a powerful one-stop guide to their lawful liberties. It is essentially just a copy of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights as written by the United Nations, but this time with full legal force. Instead of just being an advisory, the ACT codifies rights to dignity, liberty, equality, free movement, free association, free speech, well expression, property laws, citizenship laws, religious liberty, healthcare, privacy, fair trials, democracy, and education. After 800 years of struggle for human rights, it was now neatly culminated in one single buttery document covering the whole slice of toast. Without any preserves or more commonly known jam, as this was an extra the government kept for themselves. Remember, the Act gave the people permission to have rights. Now disputes can be heard in a UK courtroom instead of going to the costly and bureaucratic European court. Of course, this Act and all the other acts are not untouchable or immune from abuse. Parliament has the power to do whatever it wants because legally it gets its power from the monarch, who supposedly gets it from God, depending on your view of religious view. Declaring the right to what is called free speech, which is free self-expression, is fine, but in one afternoon Parliament can pass an act. So maybe this section won't even apply in the future. Maybe it's time to make this constitution official, one that is above Parliament and cannot be changed without popular approval. It doesn't have to be an all-powerful untouchable document like the Americans' Bill of Rights, but it should be a merged document of all laws and there not be an act of permission. Meaning key legislation into one document, then adopted with a nationwide referendum, giving the people's approval, and cannot be overturned with majority in Parliament. Therefore, requiring the people's approval for withdrawal of the document. Rights can be added by majority in Parliament only. This would give Great Britain a real rock-solid constitution and made official by the people for the people. We can always dream of having rights and not permissions given and taken away for the people becoming passionate about having rights they are born with. Because we're entering a period of big uncertainty that could determine the direction of human history. While the UK ranks highly on the list of countries most likely to survive an apocalypse, that doesn't mean civil liberties are going to come out to the other side intact, so fight for your ancient rights, fight back against tyranny, and ensure that, as former Justice Secretary Jack Straw said, the Constitution of the United Kingdom exists in hearts and minds and habits as much as it does in law. Civil liberties are going to come out to the other side intact.
So, there we go. Nothing changed until really 1906. We had the so-called Bill of Rights, which was put together to stop a monarch from taking over and dictating to us. However, it was not for the people, it was for Parliament, so Parliament could still rule over us. In 1906, things started to change, and due to the fact that we had the First World War, it was demonstrated that women who wanted the right to vote shouldn't be treated any differently, and that they should be allowed to vote, rather than it being seen as a wasted vote, etc. Now, Mellows, earlier on you mentioned about the Human Rights Act, which the Labour Party put together, and it did actually pass. And that's what we currently have at the moment. But you and I both know it only takes an act of Parliament for these permissions, which we've been graciously given, to disappear. And the act of freedom of speech is only in the House of Commons and can only be delivered by a member of Parliament while they're in the House of Commons. They are protected. They can say what they want. But you and I, we may have the right of freedom of expression, but it is subject to their permissions and what they allow us to have, in a nutshell. And this is why I think that we should have a proper document that rights can be added to, but once they go in there, that's it. They can't be removed by government. It would have to be done through referendum for it to be withdrawn or altered in a negative way. And that would stop a lot of the problems that we currently have at the moment, because it is down to interpretation. And that's where the problem is. Hi, my twin. Thanks for calling in. Thanks for joining us. Yeah.
Mention also another thing that's come to my attention, Mr. Starmer, is privatizing parts of the UK, selling off parts of the NHS and so on to BlackRock and other investors. This guy is going to do some lot of damage, man, while he's there.
Yeah. He's already stated that whatever it takes to get the National Health Service up and running, that's what he'll do, and he'll do it in a way that doesn't cost the taxpayer. So it's privatisation through the back door. But this has been coming for a while. Yeah, but this has been coming for a while. We've known this for a while. Look at all the money that was wasted, and I do mean wasted.
They do that deliberately. They do it
in the last few years.
Mismanage it deliberately in order for them to waste more money and create a reason to privatize it.
Yeah, well, there's a few things. I mean, I've spoken about this in the past regarding privatizations through the back door and the way that we have a national service and a national health service, which is fantastic on paper, and it came about after the Second World War. And the basis of it was that medical aid would be free of charge, and it was prevent the doctors from charging. That's what it was there for, because it was so costly to go to the doctors, never mind get a prescription or anything like that. You know, if you went to the doctors, you had money because you paid. Yeah, National Health Service isn't what it used to be, I will say that, and it is privatised currently, although the government would say it isn't.
The government's privatised.
But no, hang on, hear me out. I went to a National Health Service area. I moved into one, right, where I thought, oh, free prescriptions, great, don't have to pay for them anymore, don't have to pay to go to the dentist, don't have to pay for an eye exam. When I was in England, I had to. However, there's a rough and smooth. The downside of it is, yeah, I can get a free eye exam, but if I need any treatment other than glasses, I go on a waiting list. That waiting list is 2 years minimum. I can go to private health through work, and it'll cost me £50. That's an excess fee, and I can get my eyes fixed or my eye fixed, right? However, here's the downside to it. Means I have to agree to private health, and I've always been against private health. So do I go and get my eye fixed and pay for it, or do I wait the 2 years to get the operation done through the National Health Service? Or I should say through the Welsh National Health Service. And as for things like what you would expect, you have a National Health Service which is regionalised, okay, that's fine. But when you're talking in this area where I am, You would think that, because I'm in South Wales, it'd be covered by Swansea or Cardiff Health Service being a regional area. It's not. There are smaller regions which own and look after a small community or communities in order to to have their little bit of money. Is what they talk about as being urgent. Obviously, eyesight is one of those which isn't. But yeah, so I don't know whether you were able to catch some of what was going on, but
yeah, I was watching the video, but I was just watching it from the.
Yeah, the bit which I sort of missed out a lot of was how we ended up with Scotland within Great Britain. That was basically down to the fact that there was an opening and the British Parliament decided to offer a peace treaty with Scotland, and they said yes, long and short of it. But it was down to the fact that they bankrupted themselves as Scotland because they thought that they could set up a trading post over it'll come to me in a minute, somewhere in South America. I can't remember off the top of my head. But either way, what happened was they got there and found that nobody wanted haggis and it was too warm for fur coats, basically. And a lot of the Scots died of dysentery because they weren't eating haggis, or if they were, the haggis was too old. But, I'll cover that on another show sometime because I could take the mickey all the time. My twin says that makes insurance companies accept people with pre-existing conditions. Well, that depends.
My twin, they don't always accept people with pre-existing conditions. That's a lie.
Well, it depends on which country you're in. I don't know what it's like in the States, but over here, if you have a pre-existing condition, you pay through if you want the insurance. This is where the problem is. I'm lucky because my issue is new, but I knew it was going to happen. If that makes sense. But yeah, I mean, just goes to show you, people slag off the National Health Service and people turn around and say, oh, it's like Obamacare. No, it's nothing like Obamacare. But the National Health Service that we have over here, if you're ill, you get seen, you get the treatment you require. Simple as that. The problem is it's now being outsourced to private companies, and the NHS is paying for it. And
I just lost my insurance. I had to find a new insurance company.
Yeah. Well, it's like when I went to the States, my wife has pre-existing conditions needed to be covered. We had to get extra insurance for it. That's the way it goes. But anyway, so yes, that we don't have a constitution. What I put forward is an idea that we should, and how it should be formed, not necessarily the content. We can argue we're blue in the face, but I think this should start just by looking at the Bill of Rights over it and over in the States, and adopt that formally over here, put it to the people, and make sure that Parliament can't take that away. That means it becomes a right. It's not permission, it's a right.
I think we'd have to become a republic in order for that to happen. If we became a republic, we would have to codify the Constitution in a single document. We would need to become a republic, and
it's not that. Yeah, but that's not going to happen.
Get rid of the monarch, basically.
Yeah, we're complicated.
We have to replace the head of state in order for that to happen.
Yeah. We'd have to get rid of the head of state.
Yes.
The head of state, by the way, has no legal rights as such, because of the fact that the government many years ago, at the time, introduced a bill which stopped that from happening when James was on the throne after he pissed off. So yeah, it's not going to happen, and Parliament is never going to introduce a bill to get rid of the monarch, the head of state.
He's their protection. He protects them. He protects them all.
Yes. And technically speaking, the head of state is only answerable to God, not to people.
Not to people.
But it has to be a Protestant God.
There's no court on earth. There's no court on earth that could subpoena him to appear.
There's no court that can override a decision that he makes. They can only interpret, which is the fun thing. Because you know, when people take you turn around, they go, "Oh, my rights have been violated under but not the Bill of Rights, sorry, Bill of Liberties, whatever you want, human rights, that's it." It's their interpretation of that. When we had the previous government in power, they wanted to amend drastically what the courts could do, and they wanted to have the right to veto any decision which the High Court put in place if they didn't agree with it. Luckily, that didn't happen yet. I'm not saying it won't happen, but we've still got another 4 years of this so-called leader in power. And I think he's just as right-wing as the previous government, personally speaking. I don't think he's a socialist. I don't think he's for the people in any way, shape or form. I think he's for himself and his masters.
My twin, I'm not going to discuss the Obamacare because I have been fighting right now for 10 years, almost 10 years to get my medication. So Obamacare sucks.
I don't even know what Obamacare was meant to be.
It's like their version of the NHS, bro.
Watered down.
Watered down, yeah.
Yeah, very watered down. There's neither one who's decided to give everybody a mobile phone. Didn't he introduce the Obama phone?
That was something else, but that's nothing to do with Obamacare. It was
no, I know it's something else, but he was the one who turned around and said everyone can have phones, more or less.
Well, homeless people needed, he gave them more funds. Yeah.
Right.
It's not affordable health care. It's not affordable health care. When I had to pay $1,000 a month for my lupus injections, if my insurance wouldn't pay for it the first 2 years I was on it, it's not affordable health care.
Why would it need to be affordable? It should be free. You pay enough tax.
I pay $185 a month for my insurance.
It's subsidized, bro. What it is, you pay for it and then they subsidize it with Obamacare.
This is what I'm getting at. This is why I'm saying my argument. Yeah, I know, but my argument, if you like, if you call it an argument, is that medical care should be free.
Yes.
Why should it be free? Who would make money off of it if it was free?
Well, it's free from the sense that your taxes pay for it.
Right, okay.
But then your taxes go up because, everyone's paying for your...
If your taxes go up, then it should be justified by checks and balances to show where that money's going to.
The problem
if you turn around and say it's for the health service, forget it. It's not.
The problem is with the pharmaceutical companies that produce the medication. That's where the inherent problem starts.
All right, so the phones has existed before Obama. Okay, I stand corrected. Obamacare about insurance and not socialized medicine. Right, okay. Socialized medicine, are you referring that to everyone should have a right to be treated free of charge for their health conditions?
Yeah. But that just means more government, right? And more like communist style country.
But
that means
a lot of the under Obamacare, a lot of the top cancer and a lot of top specialists are not included in that Obamacare.
it's those who can afford and those who can't, and that's what we're heading to.
Right.
And that's why I will always object to it, because I think that regardless of how much money you're on, right, or you have, you should still get the same treatment as everybody else.
Right. But everybody says, oh, go to what Canada has. Canada medical is not what people think it is.
Well, I honestly don't know. I'd need to do a lot of research around that. I'm judging my opinions on the conversations I've had with my fellow American friends, and the way that they say or suggest that they are treated. Basically, you have to pay for any treatment.
Right. Right. I have a spend down, and I have to pay so much for every doctor visit I go to, every specialist I go to. And a lot of my specialists that I go to, I have to pay out of pocket because they're not within my network. And I have to go to a network of doctors that they say I have to go to. And if they're not in my network, I have to pay out of pocket. Now, I have specialists I have had for years, and they know me for the last 20 years. And I won't change doctors just because they're not in my insurance network. And because I had to change insurance companies as of the first of the year, I'm not changing my doctors.
Because I street again, man. What was in my street? Scumbags.
They know me. I'm not changing my cardiologist just because they're not in my network.
And this is the problem. This is what I when I look at it, right, I see the way that you are being treated and thousands of others are being treated over in the States. If you can't, it's all about money and how much you're prepared to pay, right? And this is where my problem is, right? My problem, I will never ever be able to get my head around it, is why you have to pay. I know it's the way it's set up and the way it's all been done, right? And I also understand there's nothing in any of the amendments of the Constitution which relates to healthcare. And it falls under the category of, it was many, many years ago over here, where if it wasn't written down, then it's out to be abused. And this is something which is out to be abused. And obviously they're abusing the Bill of Rights these days as well. However, what I'm trying to get across is you, like millions of others over in the States, you are being abused by the system. The system is genetically engineered to make money.
Yeah. Like I gotta have iron infusions.
And if you can't afford it, tough, you don't get it. you know?
I gotta have iron infusions again. And now I'm waiting for my insurance company to approve it. And I've now waited a week and a half for their approval.
Well, as I say, I can wait 2 years and get me eye done, have the cataract removed, or I can go private and get it removed and just pay the excess because the company I work for pays that medical insurance.
Yep.
And I am so against the private insurance. It's just one of those things with me. I understand I have to take it out. I have to pay for it and maybe claim for it if I go abroad somewhere. But while I'm here in good old Blighty, I don't. And if I do choose to go in, then am I renouncing my principles and going against my principles? And am I being a hypocrite? Because I could never agree to it. So I think I'm just going to have to sit it out and wait before I get it done, because I just refuse to. You know, I have arguments with the missus about it because she's told me many times it's £100. It's not the money, it's the principle.
Years ago, my dad was in the hospital in Florida, and I was having iron infusions, and my dad was in critical condition in Florida. And I talked to my doctor. I says, I'm flying to Florida because my dad's in critical condition. I am flying to Florida. My insurance company approved for me to have an iron infusion in another state with no problems whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm fighting to get my iron infusions here at home, but they approved me to have it in another state. That gets me.
Just want to pick up on my twin's statement there. It's in Canada, if you pay money, it's cheaper than in the USA. As KY Road Paul went to have surgery in Canada and found it was cheaper for him. You still have to pay. That's the point I'm trying to make. You're still paying for something that is a God-given right to have, which is good health. And I'm not religious. Yeah.
But the funny thing is people in Canada, the elderly, can't get doctors because and I've seen this more than once on Redacted, the elderly cannot find doctors. They can't find doctors. And you need surgery. You wait anywhere from 6 months to 9 months to get surgery. And it's ridiculous. You have to wait 6 to 9 months to get a surgery. You can't get surgery because the surgeons are leaving Canada because they're not getting paid that much. Because of they're government paid. They're not paid by insurance companies. They're government paid in Canada.
Yeah, so well, that's the same situation, or similar situation is here. We have very good consultants. We have a very good school of medicine, right, across the board. Probably the best in the world, right, over in the UK. But when you get your little piece of paper and you go out into the big bad world, you're paid peanuts compared to what you're worth, according to the top consultants. So the top consultants are allowed now to do insurance work where they can charge extra fees, etc. Well, my argument is, why would somebody go through an insurance to see the same doctor, the same consultant that they're going to see on the National Health? If they didn't have so much time away from work when they become a consultant, then they would be seeing quicker and they wouldn't have to wait, because while that doctor is not working, or that consultant is not working within the National Health Service and seeing patients, they're either seeing private patients or they're taking time off to have a round of golf.
Yeah.
So cut the crap, get rid of the private stuff and the insurance, ban it because it's unethical, and put them back into the National Health Service. And if they don't like the wage that they're getting, then they should disappear, because there's up and coming doctors who can learn and are willing to move up and to be able to treat people, because they still believe in the ethos of what the National Health Service was set up to be. And as for doctors who come over to the UK to be trained by the National Health Service, they should have the agreement that they will not leave the National Health Service for a 10-year period. They won't accept employment anywhere else. That way, at least we keep the doctors. And most of them, no, I'm not saying they should be slaves. I'm saying that they have the Hippocratic oath, which they have to abide to, which is to preserve and prevent life and to prevent death. That has nothing to do with money. It is to do with the fact that they are doctors.
Yep.
And they take an oath to preserve life. And they don't take an oath to line their pockets with money, because they have been taught and they've learnt all their skills within the National Health Service that they should be allowed to go and work for insurance companies. The issue is they should get rid of the insurance companies and the fact that you have private healthcare. Get rid of it within the British Isles, in my opinion, within Great Britain. People want to go elsewhere, that's down to them. But that's how I see it. And I'm very passionate about it, and that is my principle, and that's the reason why I won't go to see a doctor through private health under any circumstances. And the only time you'll see me, by the way, in a hospital is if I'm taking the wife. I don't like hospitals. People die in hospitals.
Yeah.
Why would I want to go to a hospital? But yeah, I get it's two different. You're over in the States, you're used to the system which is over there. I'm used to the system which is here. You know, and I think that if you are trained and you take that knowledge and you're trained consultant, you should give back to the doctors that are coming up, and you should train them. You should give them the benefit of your experience. That way we will get more consultants and we'll be able to see more people and be able to cut the waiting list in half. Simple. People come first, not doctors. Money doesn't come first, health comes first. And I don't see why you should be able to you need to have a system where if you're rich, you'll get seen, and if you've got a little bit more money, then you can save money by going to another country. You should be seen by doctors in your own country, but it should be free of charge to everybody. Because otherwise you create a system which you have currently at the moment. If you have money, you will get seen, you can improve your health. But if you don't have money, you're never going to get it. Oh, I might be right, I might be wrong. Everybody is entitled to their opinion. That's my opinion.
No, doctors should not be slaves.
You know, I'm not saying they should be slaves. I'm saying pay them what they should get paid. I'm not disputing that. The problem is over here is that they think that they should be paid a damn sight more than they are being paid, so they go to private health. You know?
Oh yeah, homeless should have medical care.
By the way, yeah, you believe in universal healthcare. Most, I don't question where you're coming from at all, but I know you probe it. It's probing questions, and I do know that you like to play devil's advocate as much as I do as well. And it's always good having a conversation with you, because I can have a conversation with you and you're in the chat, and if you're up here, and we'd never actually have a crossword.
I believe everybody should be able to have health care.
I think one of my cats has just decided to throw some stuff onto the floor instead of crash.
I believe everybody should.
I can't believe you're so quiet.
I believe everybody should have health care.
I'm just watching the fucking police keep driving past my house slowly and that dickheads.
Oh, they're auditing the auditor. They're getting their own back. You can't complain. They're in public.
Fucking count.
Just because you're poor doesn't mean you shouldn't have proper health care.
Hey,
Just
don't
like
be so
the rich.
hard on the police. We started off earlier on with a chat regarding police who abuse their powers, and in this case, they made somebody unalive, because you're not allowed to say certain words on these YouTube streets, regrettably.
Just like it doesn't matter if what color your skin is, you should all be treated equally.
Everybody should be treated equally. And then I moved on to the Constitution. Big mistake that was. Look what it's opened up. We're talking now about healthcare and
start throwing back the street again, man. I'm gonna fucking go stand out on the street and start recording them.
Well, why not? No, don't stand on the street. Stand on your own property. They can't do anything. It's your property.
Can't do anything anyway.
Well, they could accuse you of this, that, and the other. If you're outside, there's nothing you can do. Come on, come to my place. We use all YouTube's banned words. For some reason, Mux, I don't get the notifications when you're live anymore. I don't know why.
One thing I don't believe in
Tinkles.
I don't believe in using kids.
What's up, Bear?
I don't believe in using kids. I don't believe in using kids against people. I don't believe in using them on YouTube against people. I don't believe in.
No, I've done. Unfortunately, I've seen a few channels which have been either removed or they've been put in YouTube jail for using certain words, and it's getting worse.
I noticed that.
And I don't have a problem with people who want to say it. I'm never going to stop someone from saying things. It's just that I won't. Might do on yours though, Mux, so I have to let rip. Well, basically, in a nutshell, right at the beginning, I showed the information that I've been able to get hold of what happened in Los Angeles on the 12th of November, where a police officer went into somebody's house on the auspices of gunshots had been fired, which was a load of bollocks, because the actual information was the householder called the police because he had heard gunshots or loud noises, and the copper went straight in and shot the person 6 times in total. First time was in his head, then the following 5 times, and told the guy not to move after he finished shooting at him. The guy was dead. He was brown toast, you know, and unfortunately, he didn't survive. But the guy, the officer, it's been deemed by Los Angeles PD that he did nothing wrong and he did nothing illegal.
Well, they have a new DA now.
Was the guy even armed? No, he wasn't. He had his hands in the air. And the problem was, it was a home invasion. It was his ex-wife or his ex-partner trying to have suicide committed by police at the time, the way that it's come out, and she survived.
Well, you know, they have a new DA now.
Where? In Los Angeles?
Yeah.
Well, they need to. Well, look, this copper, this police officer, he's been protected. He's been wrapped up in cotton wool. Apparently, it could take months or years to get to the bottom of it, and the chances are nothing will actually come of this.
It may not be that way with the new DA.
Well, I put the same video that I shown. I put it out on the channel, and there's been a comment made by John Blanchard, who said, in this situation, what stays in Vegas needs to not stay in Vegas.
They have a new DA.
Sorry, what happens in Vegas needs to not stay in Vegas, something like that. And he's right, you know. And it's not even a national news that picked this up. This was local news in Los Angeles. Because it happens all the time, unfortunately. Okay.
The new DA in Los Angeles is a ex federal.
Is Las Vegas in Los Angeles?
Los Angeles. The new guy in Los Angeles is an ex he is an ex, I'm going to get it right.
Is he an ex-federal prosecutor?
Yes.
Right. Question: is Los Angeles and Las Vegas in the same state? Is it both in Nevada? Right. Okay. So I'm referring to Los Angeles.
Los Angeles.
Sorry, Las Vegas. Getting me confused now. Because it's in Las Vegas, right, where the shooting happened by the copper who killed this unarmed householder, right? The Las Vegas police department have protected the police officer and put them out on administrative leave while just lost internet then for a second. Yeah, so it could be some time before anything. My internet keeps dropping out at the moment. Let's take the change the screen slightly. Right. Hopefully I won't drop out again. Yeah, it could take a while for a proper cover story to come out, allegedly. But will the officer be charged with murder? Unlikely. Anyway.
What normally happens is they bury everything for about 5 years and then hope everyone forgets, and then that's when they.
Yeah, that's probably what's going to happen. I agree totally. Everyone will have forgotten about it apart from the family. Yeah, we saw how distraught the daughter was. Sorry, not the daughter. His partner was. Yeah, and their sentiments and the family's sentiments. You know, the lawyer's sentiments is basically if it had been anybody else who shot him, house, while his hands were in the air, totally unarmed, they would have been there and then. But because it's someone within the blue line gang, they weren't. They were just put on administrative leave while they investigate. And that's not just it's being seen to be done over in the States. That's how it happens over here as well, where there's a police officer screws up monumentally. So I wish I could say it was just a one-off incident, but it's happening more and more, unfortunately. So I always say to all the auditors, be careful out there.
Okay, it has made national news.
It has? Oh, right, okay. I picked it up from the local news over there. That's where I got it from.
Yep, it's on CNN.
If what is punished, it will be fed court for violating civil rights and not murder. That even...
They're saying he had a knife.
He didn't. His hands were in the air. I've got the video.
Yeah, I know. It's on CNN. It's on Fox. It's on the ABC. It's on BBC.
Well, funny thing is, I actually got that initially from the BBC, and the report was all wrong. After I realised that after I watched the video,
it's going to take 60 to 90 days for the investigation to be completed.
Be back in a second, guys.
It will take 60 to 90 days for it to be completed. The family is screaming they want a full investigation.
Sorry about that. I'm going to have to disappear because I'm about to have some food. So I shall catch you later. Thanks very much for joining us, everybody. Thanks for dropping in. For those people who aren't used to me only doing about 2 hours, that's about right for me. Anyway, any last thoughts? Actually, let me rephrase this. Do you have any thoughts?
No, not really.
No, there you go. Same as normal. Congratulations, still again on your 100,000. I really did. I
we
think
need to start setting these up more regular and that.
You and I need to get together. We need to sort out a schedule and start doing these again. You know, on a fairly regular basis. Mama Bear, you're always welcome. You're always welcome to come in and join in. The problem is there's a time gap between ourselves at times because
yes,
that's the biggest problem. So I really do appreciate you coming in because of that. Mellows, I don't know why you got co-host of Vigilante.media. You're the guy. Oh, it's your fault. It's you that's sponsoring us, is it? Okay. Oh, I've only done you the truth. Right. Transparency. That's all I like to say on that one. Right, guys. Thanks very much. See you all again soon. And those videos that I've done on the Constitution, I'm going to clean them all up because I noticed the last one was jumping all over the place before I put them out. But I will upload them onto the channel, and then you can watch them if you so wish. If not, don't worry about it. Right, guys. Take care now. Bye for now.
Good to see y'all. Bye.
Ta-ra.
Well, that was another great show. Thanks to everyone who has watched live or will watch later. All of us here within the network would like to say a special thank you to all who took part in the chat and those who joined Grim Reaper on the panel. One day we'll have some real people and not AI-generated participants. Only joking, that will never happen. Don't forget to subscribe to Auditors United. As it is there we will look at and highlight different auditors both